Did any of you read, I saw yesterday they were talking about the richest guy in the country came out again last week. Did y'all see who that was? Same guy that's always been the richest guy in the country, Bill Gates. And it was interesting, Bill Gates wrote a book a couple years ago called The Road Ahead. Have any of you read that book? It's called The Road Ahead. Anyway, the very first paragraph of the book, now here's the richest guy in the country. Very first paragraph of the book, Bill Gates says this. He said, everything you've learned in business up until now, you can forget. He said, because tomorrow's success will not be based on yesterday's skills. Now, I don't necessarily think he was talking about the banking world, but he could have been, couldn't he? I mean, your world is a little different today than it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Would you agree with that? And I know some of you just got started in the business. Some of you have been doing it for a while. But your business has been in a little bit of an upheaval. And so one of the things he's saying, he says the skills that we needed yesterday are not necessarily the same skills that we're going to need tomorrow. And so really today, for the next hour, we're going to talk about some of the skills that are critical in order to kind of grow our business and to grow our banks. All of your existing clients and prospects have two thoughts when it comes to generating business and dealing with their bank. We have our current situation, and they have their desired situation. So here's what I'm currently doing when it comes to banking, when it comes to loans, and here's what I'd like to be doing. Make sense? All right, now, here's mindset number one. Mindset number one says this, is the bigger the gap between my current situation and my desired situation, guess what? The better the prospect, right? The bigger the gap between what you're doing right now and what you'd like to be doing from a banking situation, the better the prospect. Mindset number two is if there is no gap between what I'm doing and what I'd like to be doing, guess what? I got no prospect, right? It's interesting because I work with banks somewhere every week, it seems like. And it's interesting, so often I'll have somebody come up to me at the break and say, I've got this great prospect, they've got a lot of assets, they're going to be building a lot of new commercial buildings, I'd really like to get in there. And I said, well, tell me about their existing relationship with their bank. He says, well, they've been banking with so-and-so for a long time, they've got a great relationship, got all the products and services that they want there. You know, and my comment to them is, next. If there's no gap between what they're doing and what they'd like to be doing, I don't have a prospect. Make sense? All right, now here's mindset number three, though, and this is the key. Mindset number three is my job as a banker is to find out the smallest gap between what you're doing and what you'd like to be doing, and then guess what? Once I find out the smallest gap, what do I want to do? I want to expand it. I want to make it bigger. I want to make you talk more about it. Does that make sense? Now, I'll give you an example. I'm going to take you to a different world here, okay? Similar world, but a little different. I used to do a lot of training with financial advisors. Morgan Stanley was a big account that I had for 9 years. And we used to train their financial advisors, and there was a lot of times when we were working with them and people were losing money in their portfolio. So now let me give you an example of rookie financial advisor and pro, okay? Rookie financial advisor asks a question, so tell me about your portfolio. And and let's say we're in a situation where you've lost a lot of money, okay? So tell me you've lost a lot of money. So here's a rookie financial advisor. Rookie financial advisor says, tell me a little about your portfolio. How's it been performing lately? And you say, terrible. Terrible. Well, you know what? I can certainly understand why you say that. A lot of people have lost money in the market lately. I understand where you're coming from, okay? That's rookie. That's kind of putting my arms around you, empathizing, making you feel okay, right? Here's what the pro does, all right? So tell me about your portfolio. How's it been performing lately? Terrible. Really? Tell me about that. How bad has it been performing? Give me an example with some numbers.
You tell me.
So specifically, how much have you lost?
A ton.
Really? In what amount of time?
Short period of time.
Really? All right, do you get the idea of where I'm going? So instead of just launching into sales pitch, what I'm going to do is I want to go a little deeper in understanding what the issue and the problem is. People don't buy because they understand your products. They buy because they feel you understand their needs. Would you agree with that? You can be the smartest person, do the best job that you can articulating your products and services, but if your prospects and your clients don't feel you understand their needs, it's all for naught. There's a couple ways that you can go in and sell your products. You can go in and say, hey, we got this great new product called Remote Deposit that allows you to make your deposits in your office, right? That's one way, which means I'm cramming a product down your throat, or I can say to you, hey, business owner, let me ask you a couple questions. Have you ever been in a situation where you needed to make deposits, but the branches were closed, but you needed to get the deposits in to cover payroll? Does that ever happen to you? Or does it ever happen to you where you had your administrative assistant go into the branch to make deposits, and an hour and a half later she comes back, but you notice her nails looked real good? Does that ever happen? Right? But you get the idea? So what I'm doing is I'm asking questions to help you realize the problems that they're faced with. Are you with me? So it's two different ways of selling. One of them is the consultative way of selling. The second is I'm pushing products. Which way do you think makes more sense? Right? Of course it does. So let me give you an idea and a flow on how it can be more consultative in my selling approach. Understand where I'm at in the selling process. I've made small talk, and now I'm going to ask the first question, very first question. Would I ask a question like, how much do you need? First question. Probably not. It'd be a good question, but it may not be my first question. I might ask you, would it be a question like, where do you see yourself in your business in the next 3 to 5 years? Would that be a good question? Be a great question, may not be my first question, right? I might ask questions like, tell me about some of the challenges you're faced with as a business owner. Would that be a good question? But again, it may not be my first question. So my first question, I want to be, do y'all know the difference between open-ended and closed-end? What's the difference between an open-ended and closed-end question?
Open-ended starts with tell me what you like.
Bingo. Open-end gets you talking. Closed-end gives me a 1 or 2 word answer, okay? So let me give you an example that I've heard bankers use all over the country as a first question, whether you're a lender or you're a banker going out generating new business. First question could just simply be this. Tell me about your business. Give me an overview about what you guys do here. Now, just thinking out loud right now, what do you think a good, general, open-ended question might be to find out about their banking situation? Let me give it to you. Here's a real easy, general, open-ended question. I'm going to say, tell me a little about your banking situation. Right? Tell me a little bit about your banking situation. Now, the reason I'm going to ask that instead of tell me who you're banking with, if I tell me who you're banking with, gives me a closed-end question. So tell me a little bit about your banking relationship. Now, at some point, you're probably going to get to who you're banking with. Now, I'll give you a caution after working with salespeople and bankers for as many years as I have. I'll give you a caution that I would suggest not to say. One of the questions I often hear people say is, well, what do you not like about your bank? Right? So I'm going to go a little higher road than that. So here's a great next question. So my next question is, tell me about your current banking situation. They say I'm working with, a great big world bank that's on every corner and stuff like that. My next question is, what do you like about them? They're a good bank. I know John over here at the bank, great guy. What do you like about him? Now, my next question, because understand, I need to find a gap between your current situation and desired situation, right? Okay? So my next question is going to be, what do you think? Bingo. Who said that? So instead of saying, and I don't want to say, what do you not like about him? So I'm going to say, so I know you're working with World Bank. Tell me, what are some of the things you'd like to see him do a little different? What are some of the things you'd like to see him do more of? Things you'd like to see him do a little less of? Are you with me? So again, I'm not putting them down. Just say, what do you like about him? What are some of the things you'd like to see him do more of? What are some things you'd like to see him do less? All right, now, here's a quiz, and let me make sure we're all on the same page. So let's say I'm dealing with World Bank, who's got a branch on every corner, an ATM in every Starbucks, okay? All of you have competitors like that in your towns? All right, and let's say I ask them, what would you like to see them do more or less of? All right? And they say, well, I wish I got a little bit better service from them. Everybody on the same page? Got me? Would that be a realistic answer that they might give you? Yes? All right. What do you think the natural inclination that most bankers want to respond to when they say, I wish I got a little bit better service? What do you think most people want to say next? We got great service. Let me tell you about how great we are, cowboy. Right? And guess what? That's what they expect you to say. So what I want to do is, I'm going to go back to this thought. What I want to do is I want to widen the gap between your current situation and your desired situation. So you say to me, I'm a little frustrated about the kind of service that I get. So instead of saying, well, we give you great service, what do you think my question should be? Tell me about that. Why do you say that? How often does that happen? When that happens, how does it manifest itself? How does that make you feel? And you're still banking there?